Hi everyone, this is Lee. Welcome to my booktube channel. In this video I'm going to go through the 10 prompts for the September MONSTERathon challenge. This was created by Kate over at Chapter 8. You'll notice that as I go through these 10 books that I've chosen, that many of them are actually by the same author, Stephen King. And the reason for that is because I'm actually reading all of Stephen King's books in chronological order at the moment anyway, and I just figured it was quite convenient to wrap that up into this particular readathon. So anyway, here we go. The first prompt is Classic Creepers. Read a book with a classic horror monster. The book itself does not have to be horror. For this one I am going with a classic. It is a horror. It does contain a classic horror monster, and that is Dracula by Bram Stoker. And you can see here I have the lovely Norton Critical Edition. I love Norton Critical Editions. For certain books I just think it's essential to have all of the additional commentary and essays and footnotes and bibliographies. So Dracula will be my choice for the first tag. I don't know if I've read Dracula. I don't remember reading it. I know I've read bits of it. So I'm looking forward to reading the whole thing from start to finish. The second prompt is, what big eyes do you have? Read a book that is over 400 pages. And for this, and this is going to be quite heavy to lift, I'm going to be reading the RSC edition of Shakespeare's complete works. And you can, just to show you how big this is, it is something like 2,500 pages long. This does have a horror theme in the sense that there are ghosts involved in Shakespeare. There are spooky goings on in some of the plays, but the reason I've chosen this is because I'd already set myself the challenge of reading all of Shakespeare's works anyhow, and I'm going to do that over the course of 1 week. And you might think I'm crazy, but I'm going to do a separate video talking about this, and I'm going to be doing a video each day where I reflect on what I've read. So for 1 week, this is all I'll be reading, and it is definitely over 400 pages. Prompt number 3, Chimera. Read a book that could be classified under multiple genres. So for this one, I don't have a copy of it here because I'm going to get it as an ebook on my Kindle, but I'm going to be reading Christine by Stephen King. The reason I don't have a physical copy is because I couldn't actually find a cheap second-hand copy, so I think I'll just read the ebook. Does it really fall into different categories? I mean, yes, it has elements of horror. From the synopsis, I get the feeling that it also has this kind of element of like a teen romance going on, and a thriller aspect to it as well. So it's, yeah, it is one of those Stephen King books that I do feel like borrows from kind of different genres, as many of King's books do, but this one sort of more overtly so, I sense. So I'm going with Stephen King's Christine for that one. Prompt number 4, The Real Monsters. Read a book featuring monstrous humans. Plenty of monstrous humans in Stephen King, including in different seasons. This is one of King's most famous collections. This is 4 novellas, and it includes the story that was adapted into The Shawshank Redemption, Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption, Apt Pupil, this was made into a film as well, and The Body, which was made of course into Stand By Me. Plenty of monstrous humans in this particular collection, so that's what I'm reading for that one. Prompt number 5, Unsightly. Read a comic, graphic novel, manga featuring a monster. When I watched Kate's original video, she also mentioned picture books. She was kind of vague about, you know, the category for this. I do have a couple of graphic novels, but I have chosen another Stephen King work for this, and that is Cycle of the Werewolf, illustrated by Bernie Wrightson. And you can see, if I just open up a page from this, that, you know, there are a lot of illustrations in this, so it is, I think this kind of does fall under that category, and you know, it is definitely in the horror genre. I mean, this book could have come under a few other categories, a few other prompts, but I've stuck with this particular prompt. Prompt number 6, Angry Mob. Read a book recommended to you by more than one person. And for this one, I'm going to read George Saunders' Lincoln in the Bardo. I suppose not really horror, although it does feature the death of a child and a man being, if you like, haunted by the death of that child. This is about the death of Lincoln's boy and the effect that had on him. This book was lent to me by a friend of mine, and it has been recommended to me by others in the past, so I figured that falls into that one. And it's been on my to be read pile for a few weeks now, so keen to read this, Lincoln in the Bardo. Prompt number 7, Sacrifice. Read a book that you've seen in an unhaul video. So for this one, I was watching Triumphal Reads' unhaul video, where he has, I think, about 70 books that he's unhauling, and one of the books that he mentions is this. You probably can't see what that is. Let me show you. This is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. I mean, there weren't that many books that Triumphal Reads mentioned that I actually have, but I do have this. And another reason why I wanted to read Meditations was I've read something recently that discusses this in a kind of troubling context. I'll talk a bit more about that particular book another time. So I'm looking forward to reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and that is my prompt for that one. We are on number 8, prompt 8. The Beasts. So there are 3 different teams in this. I'm actually going to join the Haunts team, and each of the following 3 prompts is based around the names of these 3 teams. So the Beasts. Read a book featuring a monster with plant or animal traits. I don't have this book yet, but I've just purchased this. It's Pet Sematary by Stephen King, which is another book in my Stephen King chronology that I'm going to read. It features animals. I gather that it features dead animals, so perfectly fits this prompt. Pet Sematary, Stephen King. Number 9, The Haunts. Read a book featuring a monster that is dead or undead. For this, I'm going to read Roald Dahl's book of ghost stories. Now, when I purchased this book, I assumed that this was a collection of ghost stories written by Roald Dahl, because I do gather that he has written ghost stories. It's actually ghost stories that Roald Dahl has collected into this volume and featuring an introduction by Roald Dahl, which is still really cool. And I'm really looking forward to reading these. I think it'll be really interesting. Another reason why I'm so excited is because I was looking through the contents of the different stories in there, and one of them is Afterward by Edith Wharton, and I'm reading Edith Wharton's books at the moment. I'm reading The Age of Innocence, and I love it. And I'm trying to read a number of books by Wharton for another project I'm doing, so I think it's great that one of her ghost stories is featured in here. So that's for prompt number 9. And for prompt number 10, The Conspiracies. Read a book featuring an alien, robot, or sci-fi based creature. And for this, I'm going to read Tafoya Jing by George R.R. Martin. Really excited to find this book. I've read, like everybody else on the planet, I've read A Song of Ice and Fire. I haven't read anything else by George R.R. Martin. This is a collection of different short stories, and it does feature aliens. I'm just looking at the dust jacket. It's about an eccentric starship captain, Haviland Tuff, and he's the owner of a 30-kilometer long vessel, the Ark. I gather that he travels around to different planets to solve different problems, and some of them feature weird creatures. So it sounds like a really fun book to read. So Tafoya Jing, George R.R. Martin, for prompt number 10. So there we go. 10 prompts, 10 books. One of them is an enormous 2,500 page book that I'll be spending an entire week reading. And many of the others are by the same author. I don't know if I'll get through them all. I'm going to try, but if I don't get through them all in September, then October is a spooky month as well. So there we go. Thanks for watching, and I'll keep you posted on how I get along. Bye.